Welcome to this short introduction to my HDR Sun and Sky add-on for Blender. So you're probably familiar with the procedural Sun and Sky systems that ship with many 3D packages, including this one in Blender. And these are super useful for creating outdoor scenes because they allow you to control the time of day by setting the elevation of the sun. So let's increase it to say 40. And you can also rotate the sun around to control the lighting direction. So while these are reasonably versatile, they do have two major flaws. The first one being that you have no control over the weather conditions at all. You are stuck with a simple blue sky. And the second flaw is that while the lighting does look nice, the sky itself is not photorealistic. It looks like a procedurally generated sky. And this is what drove me to create my add-on, because I wanted all of the flexibility that these sunlight systems have, but with the addition of controllable cloud cover. So let me show you how it works. The first step will be to switch to an asset browser. And then I simply need to select the library where my sun and sky is saved. And from here, I can simply drag and drop the sun and sky preset into my scene. And as you can see, straight away we have really nice lighting with strong shadows and a lot of contrast. But of course, you can control and configure everything. The first thing you're probably going to notice is that the clouds look a little blurry, and that's because by default the HDR Sun and Sky is going to load in at low resolution just so that the scene is responsive while you're making edits. So in order to make changes, we're going to need to access the controls. There's two ways you can do it. You can do it in the scene collection by simply selecting the Sun and Sky controls and then going to the object properties, and you'll find all the controls down here. Or you can select the item in the viewport. If you just zoom out until you find the Sun and Sky controls, just click on it, and once again you'll be able to access the controls in the object menu. And from here you can basically decide what time of day you want to have, what direction you want the sunlight to come from, and the level of cloud cover. So I'll start by changing the time of day. Let's set the sun position to 0, so we're at sunrise or sunset. And then I'm just going to rotate the sun around until it's backlighting my car. And that looks really nice. Let's just try increasing the sun position so that it's a little bit later in the day, and just tweaking the rotation. Maybe try increasing the sun brightness just a little bit. And then once I'm happy with the lighting I've got, I can simply increase the resolution. So if I increase it to 1, the background maps will be set to 4K. And then if I increase the resolution to 2, the lighting maps will stay at 4K, but then the backplate is going to be at 16K. And that is going to give me some really nice sharp clouds in the background of my render. Now, even with the map set to high resolution, you can still play with the controls, especially the sun rotation. That'll still be very responsive. But if you want to change the amount of cloud cover or the height of the sun, it might be wise to step down to a low resolution first. But you can, of course, still change these parameters in high resolution. It's just going to be a little bit less responsive. Let's try increasing the cloud cover to say 6. And you can see my render has updated. I'll also increase the sun position, and that's completely changing the feel of the image. And I'll just tweak the position of the sun again. And that, as you can see, is also looking really, really nice. One of the features of this add-on is that it does deliver really spectacular lighting. So let's just see the range of cloud cover that we can have. So if I reduce the cloud cover level to 1, we'll just have a plain blue sky. And I'm just going to drop the resolution down to 1 just while I make these changes. And with that done, let's come back to the cloud cover control and let's say increase it to 3. And that just gives us a few puffy clouds. Let's try increasing it to say 6. And now you can see the cloud is getting thicker. Let's increase it to say 9. And now we have thicker clouds still. And now I'm just going to take it to the maximum value of 11. And that's just going to give us an overcast sky. But even when we have this much cloud, you can see that with the low sun, we're still getting some nice lighting on the car. So I'll just drop the cloud cover back down to 6 and let me show you the range of times a day that we can have. So if I set the sun position at 0, we have sunrise or sunset, and then we can just gradually increase the height of the sun in the sky, and you can see that the lighting is really beautiful as we go through the sequence of times of day that we have. And so when the sun is in the maximum position at 19, we have a midday sun. I'm just going to reduce the brightness of the sun because it is obviously very strong. We have very strong shadows directly below the car, and then we have all the times in between. And what this does is that it allows you to completely art direct the time of day and the weather conditions in your scene. And you can see that more or less, no matter what we do, we are getting consistently beautiful results. So if you want a fully configurable sun and sky system that allows you to control not just the time of day and the position of the sun, but also the cloud cover and the weather conditions, then this add-on is for you. And of course, the HDR Sun and Sky add-on isn't just useful for exterior scenes, you can also use it for interiors, and it can fully light an interior, as I'm going to demonstrate with this demo scene. So I'm just going to drag and drop the preset into the scene. Then I'll just scroll down until I locate the Sun and Sky controls. Let's select them, go to the object properties, and expand the custom properties to expose the controls. Then I'll rotate the sun until the light starts shining into the room. So you can see the sunlight is now appearing on the rear wall. I'm just going to shift it a tiny bit. And what's nice about this add-on, as opposed to using just a regular HDR image, is that you've got a lot more control over the position of the sun in relation to your scene. Because as well as controlling the rotation of the sun, you can also control the height, and that's something you can't do with a regular HDR. So if I want the sun higher in the sky so that more light is shining on the floor, it's simply a case of adjusting the sun position until I'm happy. So I think this is looking pretty nice. So I'll increase the resolution so that we have a sharper image outside the window, and the shadows are also a lot crisper. And if I want to change the intensity of the lighting, all I need to do is to increase the sun brightness. So let's just try 1.5, and that's looking pretty nice. So finally, I'm also going to increase the density of clouds in the sky outside the window. Let's try setting that to say 6. And that just creates a little bit more visual interest outside. So you can see this is a really useful add-on for interior lighting because it's just so much more flexible compared to regular HDR imagery. And in this final example, I'm just going to quickly show you a couple of different moods you can create just to show you the range of looks you can achieve with the add-on. So here we have an early morning or late evening feeling. I'm just going to quickly change the direction of sunlight just to maybe emphasize different parts of the composition. And of course, I can change the time of day by changing the sun positions. So if I want more of a daytime feel, then that's what I would do. And let's move the sun around a bit more. Let's create a different feeling. And so you can see with just a couple of clicks, I've completely changed the look and feel and the mood of the image. And this can be a huge time saver because rather than trying out a whole series of different HDR images, I can simply load this and play with the controls until I get the look that I'm after. So just to finish off, I'm just going to try a different look altogether. Let's increase the sun position to say 11, and I'm also going to increase the cloud cover to the maximum value of 11. Let's increase the sun brightness, and you can see once again we've achieved a completely different look and feel. Now if I want something a little brighter, I could just reduce the cloud cover to say something like 9, or maybe just try lowering the sun position to something like 7, and once again that's just giving us a different look, different feel, because the nice thing about this add-on is that it really gives me every option imaginable when it comes to outdoor lighting. And so if you're used to working with traditional sunlight systems, you'll be familiar with all the limitations in terms of cloud cover and lighting conditions. And if you prefer to use HDR images, then you'll also know that they have limitations in terms of the height of the sun, which you have no control over. And in my opinion, this add-on actually gives you the best of both worlds. You can really configure every aspect of your lighting.